looking like we're probably going to be seeing James Madison, maybe Tulane? What are we looking at in that regard?
Yeah, I it could go many different directions. I believe, I mean, the winner of the North Texas and Tulane game is going to be in. You
Yep.
can pretty much count on that being a guarantee. But at the same time, the James Madison is I mean, that's a team that's program that Kurt Signetti built.
Yeah.
They've been successful.
Yes.
They've been successful the past 3, 4 years, but are these the teams? I want to pose this question to you and going into the next segment.
Yeah.
Are these the teams that the 12-team playoff was built for? Are they?
Johnny.
I happen to think that the 12-team playoff was built for teams like last year's Boise State,
Yes.
like 2017, 2018 UCF, like 2023 Liberty,
Yeah.
Western Michigan back in 2016. Those are the
Cincinnati.
teams. Those, yes, Cincinnati as well. Those are the teams that this playoff was built for,
Yes.
not an American Conference champion that has 2 losses on the year, not a Sun Belt Conference champion that has a loss and is going to be a 25-point underdog to whoever they match up with first
Yep.
round. Boise State last year, they had a loss, but it was to one of the number one seeded at the end of the year, Oregon.
Yeah.
That was their loss, and it was a very, very tight play game. Everybody would agree that they deserve to be in the college football playoff. If there were 4 teams, I don't think that they would have gotten in.
Yeah.
But this is what the 12 team is built for. I do not like the G5 auto bid for that reason. Um, Now, that could change. One of these teams could go into the playoff this year and win a game. And if they do, good for them. And that might change my mindset on things. But until that happens, I believe that the top 12 teams should go no matter what conference they're in. And that's just the end of the story for what I think.
Johnny, you nailed it. You nailed it. All right, we got to buckle in here because this is a loaded question. I'm going to go in for a few minutes here if you're cool with it, Johnny. Great thoughts, by the way. I don't disagree with any of that. You nailed it. As we transition here, let me put a bow on this though. Do you realize that JMU, North Texas, and Tulane all have lost their coaches? So everyone in the world going to talk about Ole Miss. Lane Kiffin left. Oh no, Ole Miss, what are they going to do? How about these G5 teams, bro? Like the American Conference Championship matchup right now, both of those coaches are gone. And I do need to give a shout out Drew Westermaker, North Texas quarterback, dog, never even started in high school, one of the top passers in the country this year. Dog, would love to see him pull off a win, but bro, like Tulane's head coach gone, JMU's head coach gone. Like Bobby Chesney's at UCLA now. We all know that John Summerall was one of the big names. Looked like Auburn was going to get him. Florida's got him, right? North Texas's coach gone. So um, he went to Oklahoma State. Great hire, by the way. But as we kind of transition, like, are we going to talk about any of that? Are we also going to talk about the fact that Oregon, both of their coordinators got poached? Now I know the word is those guys are going to finish out the year there, and I know it's really weird what Ole Miss is doing. The fact that they're gonna that not only they're not letting Lane Kiffin coach, they're promoting Pete Golding, but they're gonna let Weiss, their OC, come back and finish out the play. Wild, wild.
Yeah.
But Johnny, buckle in here for a second because the 5+7 model, if you've listened to this podcast, if you've subscribed, if you've been following on the journey in the last 3 years, I have not changed my tone on this one time. The first year we did this pod was the last year of the 4-team playoff era. And when they were floating out ideas and talking about the format, I was unequivocally hardcore against the 5+7 model for this very reason. Exactly what's happening this year, Johnny. You highlighted it perfectly. But I would love to see Duke win for this 5+7 model to be exposed. But regardless of the outcome of that game, the model's being exposed anyway. Because, like you said, Johnny, we need to just have the 12 best teams in the country. And so I want to talk about this for a second because if you're a college football fan, if you're a sports fan, if you've turned on ESPN, Fox Sports, whatever, your favorite podcaster, your favorite college football talking head, media head, then a lot of them have already like started talking about this what they call AQ model. And I just want to take a second, Johnny, to explain what this AQ model is. AQ stands for automatic qualifiers. It's a 16 team format, and it's basically a 4-4-2-2-2 or a 4-4-2-2-1-1. And they would be giving the Big Ten four teams, the SEC four teams, the ACC two teams, the Big 12 two teams, and then two at large bids, which I believe would just be the highest ranked teams. It's basically a way for Notre Dame to make it and then the best other team available. So, Johnny, this does take away the G5 auto bid, but it's still not the solution. And I want to point this out because this is what happens. A few years ago, we have a four-team playoff, and unfortunately, it was a crazy year where I believe six teams should have been in. The last year of the four-team era. Georgia and Florida State were on the outside looking in, and I honestly think both of those teams deserve to be in. And this is a crazy hot take, but I think Georgia deserved to be in more than most of the other teams in the field, and certainly more than Florida State. They were the two-time defending national champs. Their only loss was in the SEC championship game to Alabama, which we've talked about. They've had a tough time with. All that to say, that year, everyone used that one crazy year as the excuse to push, we need 12 teams. We need 12 teams. We need 12 teams. That's exactly what's happening right now, Johnny. Everyone is using this crazy year, and instead of saying, hey, we could probably keep it at 12 teams, but let's just change the format, they're saying, we need more. We need to have 16 teams, and we need to have automatic qualifiers. All right, let's just talk about what the playoff situation would be right now if it were next year and we had the 16 team AQ model. Because I'm just telling you, Johnny, it wouldn't be any better. And a lot of these teams that are getting screwed right now and on the bubble right now, they wouldn't even be in the 16 team. So here's where I'm going to talk about this. I need to find my notes here, Johnny. I'm looking everywhere. But basically, all this to say, okay, if we had the 16 team model right now, you would have your four SEC teams. Johnny, did you realize 5 of the 9 highest ranked teams right now in the country are SEC teams? Johnny,
Not
Texas and Vandy would be outside of that top 4. They're considered bubble teams right now. One of those teams might have a chance to be in the 16 team AQ model, but if you look at it and you go 4-4-2-2-2, those two at larges right now would actually be occupied, one of them by Notre Dame and the second one by Oklahoma right now at this point. So you'd still have Texas and Vanderbilt, who are rated above the ACC's highest ranked team, that would still be on the outside of the 16 team model. The Big Ten has 3 of the top 5 rated teams in the country: Ohio State, Indiana, and Oregon. So they're definitively in. We have no beef with that with this AQ model. But do you know what the next highest ranked Big Ten team is, Johnny?
Michigan.
No, that's a good guess. Michigan's ranked 19th. It's actually number 16, USC.
Hmm.
So USC would be your fourth Big Ten team in there. And then if you get past USC, you have Michigan and Iowa ranked in the top 25. But I think everybody can kind of see clearly, like, okay, Michigan got boat raced by Ohio State, got boat raced by Washington. They lost on the road to Oklahoma. Respect to them for scheduling it. But like, Michigan's still a year or two away from being a legit playoff national championship contender. So you'd basically be giving USC a free spot in this playoff, and there wouldn't be like much of a race in the Big Ten, is my point in all of this. Like
Mhm.
Iowa and Michigan, nobody's going to say to you, like, I think those teams could win the national championship. Johnny, there's not a spot at the table for Texas as the 13th ranked team in the country right now in a 16 team playoff. I mean, how mind blowing is that, bro? Like,
Yeah.
that is mind blowing. So, everyone in the world right now is saying AQ, AQ, AQ. We haven't even talked about the fact that they're saying the Big Ten and the SEC are equivalent, but they're also saying that the Big 12 and the ACC are equivalent. Johnny, it's so obvious. In this AQ model, in then right now, Utah and BYU would be in the playoff, and so would Virginia and Duke. So Miami would still be on the outside looking in because in the AQ model, Oklahoma and Notre Dame would be taking up those spots. I mean, I just want to make sure that everybody understands this. This is what's happening right now. It's a circus. And when this kind of stuff happens in college football, unfortunately, Johnny, when it's talked about in the media, it eventually becomes reality. Think back to the transfer portal. Everybody was talking about this, and people were like, no, no, this is crazy. The reasonable people were like, this is crazy. Once we open this can of worms, you can't get it back in the can. That's
Mhm.
exactly what's happening right now. We saw it happen when we moved from the 4 team to the 12 team. And right now they're all talking about it, but nobody's poking holes in it. And to me, it is glaringly obvious that it is just an even worse, flawed system and it would create even more chaos. Like, there's no way you can, like, especially this year, guarantee 2 spots for the ACC. In what world? And then you're going to limit the SEC to 4 teams. And then, like, hypothetically, the most teams that a conference could have in this model is 6. And you're telling me you're going to put one of those spots isn't going to go to Notre Dame? Like, it's wild. I'm sorry. I know that was a mega rant, but I just want to make sure everybody knows, like, that's not the move going forward.
Absolutely. I would agree with you. What I believe right now is 12 team model. I like it. There's always going to be a team unhappy. You could go to 32 teams. You could do March Madness, and the 65th and 66th and 67th team are going to be ticked off. You see it in March Madness. It's just what it is. No matter how many teams you have, someone's going to feel like they got cheated out, like they didn't get in. You see it in every postseason across the board in college sports. What I would propose would just be a standardized model that incorporates what are the top criteria to get into the playoff? Is it record? Is it strength of schedule? Is it opponent? Whatever it might be, right? So you compile that. You can create a statistical model, not to project who is going to win a game, but who has the best resume on the year. And then that gives you your 12 teams. There's no debating it.
Yep.
The committee can create the model. It can't be biased towards anybody. If they all create it before the season and they establish it and people vote on it, and that allows them to have to clearly identify the criteria that matters, rank them, and see what percentage of this matters most, what percentage of this matters, and then all those things stack up. It gives you a number, and then that's how you rank your teams 1 to 12. I hate that that's the point that we've gotten to, but that's going to solve all the problems. And then there it is. There's your top 12 teams based off resume and what they have done this year, and then you rank them accordingly and they go play in the playoff. Then
Yeah.
there's no argument. Their teams are given the criteria. Hey, this is how much strength of schedule counts. This is how much win-loss counts. This is how much head-to-head counts. This is how much your conference championship counts. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
then teams know, okay, well, we have to schedule a pretty good out of conference schedule. We have to win our games. We
Yes.
have to, right? And then that's when there's no excuses, right? This is the criteria. You didn't fit into the top 12 of that, so you can't complain about it.
Yeah. That's a great point,
Especially
Johnny.
in a time where people get to choose 4 of their games and every year. Now it's going to be 3 games, but you get to pick your non-conference games. If nobody
100%.
else wants to schedule you, well, that's not necessarily your fault, but teams do it all the time. You can find a way. You can get a good
Oh,
team on
yeah.
schedule.
100%.
Yeah,
Yes, Johnny, there's a million directions I want to go because you just nailed it. Um, yeah, that's another great point of to why scheduling should be from a national like basis, not just conference to conference and not just individual program to individual program. Um, because teams have figured out that the committee might say one thing, but they're human beings. They're not punching this into a model or a system. So they can say one thing all offseason. They can say, we're not going to punish you for playing good teams and scheduling tough non conference opponents. Well, look at Texas right now. Texas is on the outside in, and a million people are going to try to tell you, well, they should have won at Florida. Well, yeah. I mean, there's 2 teams that are undefeated right now. So everybody can look at their record and go, well, you should have won this game. You should have won this game. If they didn't schedule the Ohio State game, then they would be a 10-2 team right now with head-to-head wins over Vanderbilt and Oklahoma. Are you really keeping that team out, Johnny? Like, and you can again, people can say all they want. Well, they didn't take care of business against Florida, and I can't say you're wrong because you're right, but every single team above you except for 2 has a loss on their schedule, And everybody could say, well, you should have taken care of business against so and so. But they chose to go on the road week one to the defending national champs, and they lost by 7, played them tougher than anybody else this whole year, Johnny. And they're going to be on the outside looking in. Okay, I promise we're going to get to a lighter note and we're going to have some fun here. But Johnny and I talked about the future. Let's talk about right now. Okay. Number one, Hunter Yurachek, Johnny, is the college football playoff chair right now. He obviously didn't start the year there. He's the Arkansas AD. The Baylor AD started there. This guy hired a coach on Sunday, Johnny, for his school. For his school. And by the way, sorry to the Arkansas fans out there. We have some great friends in Fayetteville. Beautiful place. Loved my time there this fall. I wish them nothing but the best. I haven't got to check in with our Arkansas fans, Johnny, our friends from there, to see if they're happy about this hire. I can't imagine that they are, though. They got Ryan Silverfield from Memphis. I think that people in Arkansas don't really like Hunter Yurachek and think he's doing a great job at his school. So, what makes us as a college football universe believe that this guy who's not really doing the best job at his school can run the college football playoff rankings, right? Like, you did a great job, Johnny, pointing out that there should be a model. It should be a plug and play, data driven system of, hey, us humans, we're going to get the best minds in the sport together and say, these are the most important factors. But then we're going to take the human element out of it, punch that into a computer, and the computer is going to spit out the results for us. You did a great job of that because these people are human beings, Johnny, and they have biases and they've got their own jobs to do. So that's just, I have to point that out. And it's in the middle of this crazy calendar. Johnny, let's go down the list here right now because I do want to say this. There's a lot of people, if you go on X, if you go on message boards, if you listen to podcasts, we're one of them, hopefully, thank you for tuning in, that are going to tell you there's definitive answers. I don't know that there are definitive answers in some of these cases, Johnny, because we only get 12 spots, 5 of them are occupied, and we get to choose the next 7. I think that there's a big bubble this year. I think last year it was pretty set in stone. There wasn't too much debate to be had. There was really one spot at the bottom there that everyone was debating over who should have this spot. SMU got it. Miami was in the race. Alabama was in the race. Ole Miss, South Carolina, everybody was jockeying for one spot. This year, I think that there's more of a bubble. There's more 2-loss teams. There's more 1-loss teams. There's a few 3-loss teams. But I don't think that there's a definitive answer of who deserves that spot the most. So let me just share my bubble with you, Johnny, because 10-2 Oklahoma seems to be a lock right now, but they should kind of be on that bubble. Alabama, I actually don't have on the bubble, Johnny, because I think they're playing in the SEC championship game. They finished the regular season as the number 1 team in the SEC. Are you really going to keep that team out? Notre Dame, bubble team, 10-2. BYU, bubble team, 11-1. Miami, 10-2. Texas, 9-3. Vanderbilt, 10-4. That's my bubble right there, Johnny, is basically 8 through 14. That's a pretty significant bubble, right?
Yeah, that is a large amount of teams that are all kind of gathered in the same similar situation. There's arguments for each of them. There really is. I've seen every team pleading their case on social media, but the one thing that I cannot stand is when people brag and talk about their margin of victory average for the season. That's the one thing
Oh,
I cannot stand because who at the end of the playoff, who matters or who cares how much you won your quarterfinal game by? Nobody.
yep,
What they care about is was that a win
yep.
or was that a loss? Because if it was a win, you're playing the next game. If it was a loss, you're back at home, you're in Cancun, whatever they say nowadays. But margin of victory should not be something that is considered at all. It just simply should not be because there are so many other factors that go into a game. You look at Washington 2 years ago. Their margin of victory on the year would have been like 7 points.
Yeah.
And you look at a team like last year, Boise State, their margin of victory over the course of the year was probably like 30 points.
Well,
It,
Johnny,
it
think about Notre Dame that made a run in the playoff. Their 3 games. Like I think they beat Indiana by 10 in the first round. They played a tight one against Georgia, second round. Semifinals, they beat Penn State by 3. They played in the national championship. They didn't blow anybody out in the playoffs.
no. So what I don't like is while there are plenty of teams that have their cases, that is the one case that I just cannot stand right now in the college football we should be in kind of argument.
It's really dumb. It makes these teams at the end of the year try to run up the score instead of playing good quality football. They're taking timeouts. They're trying to save clock to beat a team by 40 instead of 20 for the eye test. It's dumb. That's not football. And by the way, not every team is built to win a game by 40 points.
Absolutely.
Good call, Johnny. Hey, so let me go down this bubble really quick and just give you a couple points on each team. Is that cool?
Yeah,
I know we're dragging this on. Thank you guys for listening. We know this is going to be a long episode. Again, we're going to chop this up, different videos on YouTube. So thank you for tuning in to the Laners College Football Pod. Number 12, I'm going out of order here, Johnny. I'm not going down the list. Let me start with number 12, Miami. Okay. First of all, I think it's very clear. I've said that a lot of stuff isn't clear. I think it's very clear Miami should be ahead of Notre Dame. Any disagreements there?
not at all.
I mean, unreal. They have wins over Notre Dame and Florida. And I point both of those out because I give you credit for scheduling big time non conference matchups. That's what they did. They said, hey, we got a full ACC schedule. We only have 3 or 4 other games that we get to choose on our schedule. Yeah, we'll sign up for Florida, in state rivals. We'll go to the swamp. Yeah, we'll sign up for Notre Dame, uh, national champion runner up last year. Come to our place, first week of the year. They won both those games, man. And I give them a lot of credit for those. I put Miami first. I put Vanderbilt second, Johnny. I put Vanderbilt second. 10-2 SEC team finished the year with a blowout win on the road at Rocky Top. You know who their 2 losses are this year, Johnny?
Oh, I know.
Let them know, baby.
Texas, Texas, and Oklahoma.
Alabama.
Alabama. Sorry about that.
No, you're good. Both on the road. So you lost to right now the number 9 team and the number 13 team in the country on the road. You went 10-2 in the SEC. That includes a late season win in Rocky Top over Tennessee. They also won multiple games against teams who were ranked at the time, like in Missouri. And we tend to give Oregon credit for that win against Penn State when Penn State was ranked at the time. So, like, it's got to go both ways. So I like Vanderbilt there. I also like number 13, Texas. 9-3, 7-point road loss to Ohio State. You already know that they won against undefeated Texas A&M to end the year. Then I go with number 10, Notre Dame. Notre Dame, 10-2. Their best win on the year, though, is USC, Johnny. And outside of that, not a ton to write home about. But I give them credit because both their losses were early. They started the year 0-2. They won 10 in a row to finish the year. And both those losses were by a very thin margin. And we talked about Georgia almost losing to Tennessee. Notre Dame almost pushed overtime against A&M if it were not for a botched snap. So that's where I have it. And then I have BYU beneath all of them. Maybe I'm wrong for that. Maybe I'm biased against BYU, but that's the way that I would do it. I draw a line there. Utah, USC, Virginia, not playoff teams in my mind. And again, we know that Virginia, if they win, they're in. But I'm telling you, if I'm running the playoff and if I'm looking at this thing objectively and I'm gathering all the data points together, I'm not just picking and choosing one data point based on where I rank the team to prove that's why they're there. That's how I have it.
Yeah, and of those teams that you just mentioned, BYU is the only one that controls their own destiny.
Yeah,
So I get it, they're at the bottom of your list. But then again, what have you had to do to get in that position?
right.
You had to beat Arizona in overtime. You had to beat Utah. Utah's such an overinflated team. I can't even
100%.
begin to describe that.
At least they
You
got that right this week.
Right, yeah, absolutely. But the the true challenge that you've had this year, and I'll give you the Arizona. Arizona's a pretty
Yeah.
good team this year.
Yeah.
But the challenge that you've had was Texas Tech, and they boat raced you. And now you get a second chance at it to prove,
100%.
and not only to prove to people, but you get to prove to the system because the system says you win this game, you're in.
Yeah.
And that's why I have them on the bottom of my bubble list as well because they have a chance to truly be in the playoff, and none of these other teams really do.
Yeah.
I mean, Notre Dame, people would say that they have a chance, but outside of that, there's not really an argument. and not really a chance for Texas or Vanderbilt to jump into
Right.
that equation or
Right.
Miami.
Which is mind blowing to me, man. So I know we've been going a long time, Johnny, and I want to thank you for your time. I know you might have to jump off. I have three questions, but this one is a zinger. Okay. What if you replaced Vanderbilt's helmet and logo with Michigan's? What if you replaced Vanderbilt's helmet and logo with Tennessee's? What if you replaced their logo and helmet with Notre Dame's?
They're
There
in the
is no
playoff.
way Tennessee, Michigan, or Notre Dame are allowing themselves at 10-2 to be outside the playoff bubble because that's my bubble. But you mentioned it correctly, Johnny. According to the committee right now and the way things are playing out, Vanderbilt's eliminated. They will not be in the 12th, they will not be in the field. If that was the case for any of these other programs, they would be throwing a riot right now. Am I wrong?
No.
It's unbelievable, man. The brand bias is crazy. I'm always a skeptic when people just throw that out there. I'm like, oh, okay. Like, you're just mad that your team's not that good. This is one of the first times I can definitively say this is very clear brand bias, and Vanderbilt is getting shafted for it. It's mind blowing to me. Johnny, I know you got to run. Another question I have: do we really think that the committee, 2 years in a row, will force Alabama and Miami to be on the outside looking in? Because if Alabama loses the SEC championship game, there's murmurs the committee might bump them out. If BYU beats Texas Tech, there's murmurs Miami would not surpass Notre Dame. As it presently stands, Miami's on the outside looking in. Do we really think 2 years in a row the committee's going to go, hey, Miami and Alabama, you guys are out?
It's possible, and I will say the case that Notre Dame has is look what they did last year, and that's
Yeah.
fair. Very similar path, and they ended up in the national championship. Um, I know we were hating on the 12-team model a little bit and the structure of it, but I do want to point out the fact that last year the number 7 and the number 8 seed were in the
Yes.
championship. So
100%, Johnny.
that is something that 2 years ago was not possible because it was only 4 teams. And I was interested because, you know, I really was curious on how many of these teams can actually compete for a national championship. Ohio State, people would say, is better than an 8 seed, and this is a different tangent. But it is exciting that we are in a time of college football, regardless of if your team is upset they didn't get in the playoff. But the
Yeah.
number 7 and number 8 team were in the championship last year. So I'm excited
Yeah.
to see how this year's playoff kind of happens as well. So,
Absolutely.
side
And
point.
and yeah, and this is one of the beauties of it is that we get to have these debates, right? There's definitely a better system out there, but at least we get to talk through this, makes it fun and exciting. And I do think this is one of the deepest years of college football that I've ever seen. Um, Maybe Ohio State is in a league of their own, but if they are, man, that second tier right beneath them is really deep, really deep. So well, Johnny, I know you got to run, man. That'll wrap up our segment on the college football playoff rankings reactions. Johnny, thanks so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me on later.